It's confirmed. So we have a massive Lakers trade update to go over today as a brand new report has dropped revealing not only Rob Pelinka's trade plan, but folks, it's confirmed they are pursuing a very intriguing name. You're going to want to stay tuned for that in this episode, as well as multiple other trade updates and free agency updates as the Lakers continue to be involved in a ton of talks, and it's confirmed that a move is incoming. Folks, before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage you aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here as we're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. You guys have been absolute beasts. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot to go over today. Now, of course, had a video earlier, multiple videos. We're talking about, a bunch of different names. The draft now is, a bit over 24 hours away. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe it is. Things are going to get crazy. Now, there's still rumblings about the Lakers trading up in the draft, all these different things. But what we're going to be talking about today is a report that dropped revealing some huge information surrounding the Lakers' plans. And let's start with this here and then kind of give some context into what I'm going to be talking about here. And it's DeAndre Ayton. So DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams III are names that have been dangled in the trade market per Brett Siegel. Much like Boston, the Blazers will continue to navigate the offseason with open arms regarding further trade discussions. DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams have been made available in trade talks dating back to before this past season's trade deadline, sources said. Now, there's one name here in DeAndre Ayton that makes a ton of sense. And is it the best move? Maybe not, but we're going to dive into it right now, folks, because again, take this, as it is. So DeAndre Ayton's available in trade talks, and then a report dropped earlier today. We have a mock trade. You're going to also stay tuned till the end. There's a very interesting report, but stay tuned to the end of the video for that one. A report came out today, according to, Dan Wolke of The Athletic, that Claxton is not thought to be viewed as the answer by the Lakers. So this is a massive report in itself, because for the entirety of what has been a tumultuous offseason thus far, Nic Claxton was a name that the Lakers were heavily involved in. Now, if you've been watching the videos, at least my videos on the channel, of course, Akeshi and Hunter have their own thoughts, but I haven't been a huge fan of Nic Claxton. I've been on record saying that for the amount of money it would take, it would require a lot more, probably assets than the Lakers will want to give up. And most importantly, you still need a huge center as the backup, because again, going up against those beast centers, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, guys like that, I don't think Nic Claxton moves the needle enough, and that's kind of a center they need. And it seems like the Lakers agree. They either are, unimpressed with the price that he costs. Maybe he costs too much. Maybe they just don't view him as a great fit alongside Luka Doncic, which would be interesting in itself, because again, Claxton's an extremely good player, albeit his offense is pretty bad. Decent pick and roll guy, but doesn't have much outside of that. They might look for someone who's either A, cheaper, or B, of course, fits maybe the system better. And that's where we circle back to DeAndre Ayton. Now, let me be very, very clear. I don't think DeAndre Ayton is better than Nic Claxton. I don't think he's better than Walker Kessler. I don't think he's a better fit necessarily than either of those guys. But he is much, 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 much cheaper than anyone else will be. And if you're the Lakers and you want to retain most of your assets to fill other holes in this lineup, then Ayton makes some sense. And let me kind of explain why here. You can see this here. An Ayton-Lakers trade makes so much sense for both sides as it likely allows LA to save their only pick. Lakers can also give Portland the expirings they want to maintain their cap space while also getting value back. And this is the biggest point to getting DeAndre Ayton. Do I think he's a great player? I don't think he's a great player. I think he would solve some of their problems. I think he would still be the starting center for this team, and I don't know if he's the answer to put them over the top. But I think in a new system, and there's been questions about his motor, there's been questions about his work ethic. I think in a new system, alongside a player-friendly coach in JJ Redick, playing alongside LeBron James, and of course Luka Doncic, you can now see a world where Ayton has another breakout year. I mean, a former number one overall pick, he is a very, very good, player if he can put it all together. And he's been yet able to put it all together. But it makes so much sense when you look at it. He's a beast if, he had a better work ethic, essentially. And you would not be giving up your 2031 first round pick in this deal. Would you be giving up Knecht? Probably. This would be Knecht plus filler. But they're getting their value back. They're getting a starting center. You don't have to give up multiple first round picks for Nic Claxton. And how much, let me know down below in the comment section right now, what's the difference in your guys' mind between Nic Claxton and DeAndre Ayton as it pertains to how much effect they would have on a team next season? Nic Claxton is a much better defender, more agile, all these different things. But you're able to then keep your asset to be able to fill some of the holes. And let's say you put DeAndre Ayton there in the starting five. So you have Doncic, Reaves, Rui, LeBron, and DeAndre Ayton. It's a very good five. And I know a lot of people are low on Ayton. I'm not super high on him myself. I just think that it almost makes too much sense. Now, a couple trades I want to go over here. Let's start with this one. Then I have another one. So you can see this here. It's Rui, Vando, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber for DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams. Now, this one I don't think is very likely. I just wanted to throw it out there to see what your guys' thoughts are. Like this one doesn't have Knecht. It doesn't really have anything. And I'm not saying that Knecht would have to get traded off for Ayton. He's making $35 million, but again, he's an expiring contract. And you could do a deal where you're getting both Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton back, and that's your starting center and your backup center, essentially, power forward, depending how you want to, playing small or big ball. It makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. And again, I'm not sitting here and saying that he is some great solution. He is not a fantastic player, but he's much better than a lot of the options the Lakers have and had last year. So you look at Claxton's stats, 10 points a game, 1.4 blocks, coming off a bit of a down year. You look at DeAndre Ayton, he's averaging 14 points a game, 1 block a game, 10 rebounds. And Ayton is an underrated rebounder. You could argue he's a better rebounder than Nic Claxton. He's a fantastic rebounder, and he can create his own shot. And that's one of the big differences between him and Nic Claxton is Ayton has a much higher offensive ceiling. And I think if you're the Lakers and you don't have to give up first-round picks for DeAndre Ayton, you can maybe hope that LeBron and Luka can kind of work together with Ayton to set him up in better spots, set him up in the post. You have a much better team around him. He hasn't had a great team around him since maybe 1 year with the Suns. And it's, that 2022 and 2021 year, his best year is averaging 18 a game. Like Claxton never had that. And I'm not directly comparing Claxton to Ayton. I think Claxton's a better overall player who has more overall value, especially given the contract. And especially given, again, the cap hit, which is, $35 million for Ayton there. I love the deal. And this is one that I think is the most likely. Ayton to the Lakers for Knecht, a bunch of filler, and a second-round pick. And like the tweet discussed earlier, you're able to, trade off your expirings. You're able to basically still remain under everything. You get rid of Dalton Knecht, which acts as the first-round pick. If you're the Trailblazers, you get a young forward who can now fit in. They just got Drew Holiday, can fit in kind of the rotation there, give him a chance to actually shine. And the Lakers aren't going to have the opportunity to give Dalton Knecht a ton of minutes. And you don't give up your first-round pick. You give up a second-round pick for a former number 1 overall pick who started every game since 2020 for whatever team he's played on and has dealt with some injury concerns, but I'm higher on him than most, and not because I think he is a better player than Nic Claxton or even because I think he's a better fit than Nic Claxton, but I think it's because you don't have to give up your first-round pick. You can then use that to go and either get a point-of-attack defender, maybe even get another, a backup center, not with your first pick, but your first-round pick rather, but something else. There's so many different options here for, DeAndre Ayton, that you're able to then, get the beast himself and get one of the two guys. And again, we all know how good this team can be. And I think saving your first round pick for a bigger move, again, in August, I believe it is, they open up their next, first round pick they're able to trade. It almost makes too much sense to me. And I think that it's something that is very likely. And you can see here from Yossi Goslin, the Trailblazers were in a position to have north of $50 million in 2026, but that goes away by acquiring Drew Holiday if they extend Sharp. They're now more likely to make another trade. Makes all the sense in the world to me. And folks, it's confirmed that a deal is on the horizon. Which deal do you prefer out of this one or, of course, this one? And also, let me know down below what your thoughts are. You guys are absolutely fantastic. And, man, things are really picking up. You guys are beasts. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.